These guys, welcome to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. This is the European Premier League. We are down to just 16 players from thousands of you that have played all over Europe. Thank you very much for taking part. We hope you enjoy the show this evening and tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. It's going to be a massive week for StarCraft 2. The action is all going to come to you right here from Cologne in Germany. Dual tournament format, of course, so the two games have been set for the opening, and the two winners will then face each other. The two losers will face each other, and then we'll have the loser versus the winner for the final place in the round of 8. And, of course, the round of 8 is very important to these players because the top 8 will also qualify for next season's Premier League as well. So lots on the line this evening. First of all, let's introduce you to the 4 groups that we'll have here at the World Championship Series. You can see Group A right now is being played this evening with TLO, StarCraft, MMA and ForGG. And followed up on Wednesday with Group B, Thursday with Group C, and on Friday with Group D. I know you're all looking forward to Friday as well. But first up, we have a massive night. And to help us explain the stories that are going to unravel this evening, we have a number of men. So first of all, let's go and meet the first of those. He's a man you'll all be familiar with, I'm sure. He's a man that's been doing plenty of StarCraft over the years, and he's, of course, one and only Sean Apollo Clark. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, Paul. It's great to be here in Germany. It's great to be a part of WCS. We've got an amazing 4 days coming up.
Yep, OK, so what's your highlight? What are you most looking forward to out of the 4 groups?
I'm most looking forward to just getting with today, because I think TLO, you know, playing here in Germany, the only German left, a lot of people come here to watch him play as well, going up against 3 Terrans. It's going to be a great start to a wonderful week.
It is, and plenty of the crowd here are already cheering for TLO, apparently. Yeah. There's absolutely no stopping them. I swear to God, what will happen if he wins, the roof might just come off the studio this evening. That will be our first game. We'll talk about that in a moment. We also have some social media monitoring going on, which Mr. Hubner is looking after. How the devil are you, Mr. Hubner? He's good. Look, there he is on screen right now. He's going to be monitoring all the social media for you. We'll be checking in on Reddit, so make sure the threads keep going up, and we'll see what you've got to say about the 2 players playing in the first game, and, of course, check out the whole of the group stuff. You shouldn't also forget as well, you can communicate with us, and we want you to interact with us via social media on Twitter, /StarCraft and ESL TV, and on Facebook as well, /StarCraft, the official StarCraft home on Facebook, and, of course, ESL TV. Don't forget to use the hashtag WCS if you're also using Twitter as well. So, plenty of action to come, but before we get into that, let's take a quick look at Group B. Group A, my mistake. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, eh? So, Group A, as they're up. Germany's very own TLO, the last German alive in the round of 16. StarCraft from the Ukraine. He's kind of the underdog in the group from many people's point of view. However, he's also up against 2 anti-foreigners. That's what we're going to call them this evening. The Koreans are usually normally known as the Koreans, and everyone else is the foreigner, but they're in the EU this evening. ForGG, well, he hasn't really climbed the heights so far in either Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm, and he's also alongside his fellow countryman MMA, who had a fantastic history in Wings of Liberty, but you have to go back quite some time ago before he had a successful run. In fact, the last year has not been a good one. It could be a roller coaster, though, and like every roller coaster, maybe it's time for him to go on the up. 4 players then, all set and ready to go. Our first match is going to be brought to you by our commentary team. It's Kalaris and Apollo.
Thanks very much, Paul, and welcome to the Caster's Desk here for the World Championship Series European Premier League. My name's Kyle Harris, alongside Apollo. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's probably my 10th, 20th time here in Germany, and every single time it's just as good as the last. I'm very much so looking forward to being a part of WCS. I've been watching all of your work so far. I'm now here alongside you, and I'm sure we're just going to have a lot of fun.
Yep, it's certainly been quite a long road already. We've had a lot of fantastic games in the round of 32, but let's not forget here, we have our first map and first game on the way in just a little bit, as we now take a look at exactly what these guys are going to veto to kick things off.
Yeah, so you can see all the maps on screen, and I'm not too sure who's going to eliminate first, but they are going to eliminate some maps, and we're going to get our map pool done for both of these players. Of course, we're going to be starting here momentarily. It's like TLO is going to be eliminating first by the looks of it, and we'll start having these coming off in a second.
Yeah, it's a pretty darn good map pool, I gotta say. I mean, it's eliminated a lot of the maps that we saw transitioning into Heart of the Swarm, things like, you know, Cloud Kingdom and stuff like that. That's kind of been phased out. Daybreak being the oldest map here in this map pool, having seen quite a long run thus far. And we do see that ForGG has already kicked off Newkirk Precinct.
Yeah, getting rid of Newkirk. It's not that much of a popular map right now. I mean, it's not being played on the ladder very much. TLO's looks like he's got rid of Akalon Waste. Akalon Waste is a very difficult map for Zerg to play against a Terran and Protoss because they have a very easy third to take. And a player like ForGG is going to be playing very greedy. He's going to be looking to power his economy, especially in this matchup. So getting rid of that just means that it's going to be a little bit easier of a run for TLO with the rest of the maps here, depending on what gets eliminated next.
And it's a good thing that you actually brought up at the very beginning about Newkirk Precinct not being as popular nowadays. There's a lot of potential to go into our turtle mode. Also, that close by air can sometimes be a little bit of a problem. You do see a lot of proxies, not necessarily in this matchup. And then, wow, Star Station actually being eliminated from TLO as well.
Yeah, Star Station, not too sure what the reason behind getting rid of Star Station is there for TLO. Just clearly doesn't want to play. I'll be interested in what ForGG is going to get rid of here. I think that he'd probably maybe Whirlwind. I'm not too sure. But it looks like the vetoes are done for both the players as they get ready to start day one of the round of 16 here, Claris.
Yeah, this is very, very important here. As Paul already mentioned, Mr. Redeye, moving on to the round of 8 is so the most utmost important. If you do, then you are able to qualify directly into Premier next season. And in Premier, that's where the big money is so far.
That's where the big money is. And right now, we can see TLO on screen. I suppose we should talk a little bit about these players.
Yes.
TLO has only had to practice for one matchup. Everyone's known that for a while now. He's only had to practice against Terran, and he's been doing so. He's kind of vanished from the scene. His main account, Liquid TLO's kind of been inactive for the last 4 days. He's been playing under alias. No one knows what he's been doing. And then we've got ForGG over here. This guy, when it comes to Zerg, doesn't have the best record. I mean, you can walk through us a little bit more when it comes to what we're expecting from ForGG today.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I mean, in this group with TLO and ForGG actually going up against one another from the very beginning, ForGG's strength is in his TVT. That's undeniable. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But here in this group, if anybody is going to take out ForGG, it's potentially our Zerg here. This is the biggest weakness for ForGG in this group. And if he cannot trump this hurdle early, he's going to have a hard time.
I 100% agree with you. They played at DreamHack just a couple of weeks ago. 4GG lost 0-2 within 15 minutes, a whole series in 15 minutes. Quick and dead. If he struggles against TLO here, it's not going to be the best thing for him, but if he wins it against TLO, then this could be an easy, smooth run for 4GG here.
Exactly, you're right. It's important to note, guys, that going into this group with 4GG getting a lot of Terrans, despite it being Straylock and MMA, since the release of Heart of the Swarm, and I need to emphasize this very, very importantly here, 4GG has got a 44 wins and 2 loss map ratio in TVT. 4GG is an absolute god here in TVT. So this, if he can get over TLO at the very beginning, then it could be plain sailing for him from that point on.
That's right. As you saw TLO doing a bit of meditating, a bit of relaxation, just kind of... He actually mentioned before that he'd like to have heartbeat monitors back in the scene just so he could show off his low heart rate. But I think we do have an interview ready, Claris.
I think we do, so let's send it on over to Paul.
Yes, thank you very much. I am here with the Director of Pro Gaming at the ESL. It is, of course, Michał Blikars, more commonly known to you, and I as Carmack. How are you doing?
I'm very, very good.
You seem a little nervous, if I might say so.
We've got
tension.
A great deal of tension leading up to this in the entire weeks. A great deal of tension, but now I'm standing here looking at the studio. It's absolutely beautiful. The audience is fantastic already, and I'm hoping they're actually going to work with me here and give Blizzard in the house a big round of applause. So, obviously, we wouldn't be here without the great work of the people from Blizzard and great work of the people of ESL TV. I was just the, asshole who pointed fingers, and the other guys were doing the hard work. So I'd like to thank everyone for the work so far, and let's hope for a great event.
Okay, what are you most looking forward to from the round of 16 in particular?
Unfortunately, we don't have Tarson playing, so I don't really have any highlights.
Okay, well, you are very, very welcome to enjoy the show. I hope you do enjoy the show today and the next 3 days as well. It's going to be a fantastic week of StarCraft 2, and we thank you for all the effort that you've put in, alongside all the hard work that the guys here at ESL and Blizzard have put in as well. So thank you very much, Michal Blickarts. Let's go back to our commentary team for game number 1. It's TLO versus ForGG.
Thanks very much, guys. All right, we are going to be getting into this in just a second with our first game in the round of 16. And this is a big moment. This really does determine exactly not only who is going to be going on to the round of 8, but also who the potential opponents are going to be going into the next stages. So there's big money on the line. There's big points on the line going into the next stage.
Big games for both of these players here today, Kolaris. Big, big games. As we can see, here are the 3 maps that we will be going over to. Whirlwind is going to be the first map, which I really like here for TLO. I think this is a really nice map, nice big map for lots of freedom to play. Belshire Vestige, I would put that in favor of ForGG a little bit here. It's a smaller map, it's a little bit more confined, and that's where we're going to see a lot of pressure going over, you know, with TLO, the drops coming in, just lots of aggression. Map 3, Newkirk, don't think that's going to be the map because it was eliminated earlier on. So I'm not too sure 100% on that, but we'll see as this series is about to kick off, and this is a big series, big for both of these players.
It is. If TLO can advance on, he will really show the level that his ZVT is at, and then he has very, very few problems going up against potentially either Straylock or MMA, whereas ForGG, if he is able to get over this first trial, then he is plain sailing. Again, his TVT ratios right now in Heart of the Swarm are insane. So guys, let's jump into game number 1 here, as we have Mr. TLO and ForGG facing off on Whirlwind. And spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner here, as are Blue Terran. Ladies and gentlemen, he goes by the name of ForGG. Second at DreamHack Valencia.
Is that a lot of good results? A lot of good results, but not a win. Not a win in StarCraft 2 yet.
That's right. He needs to pick himself up and get that win that he feels he rightfully deserves. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, in the red, we have Mr. TLO.
Lots of support for TLO here in the studio today. The crowd chanting his name already. Clarence, the games haven't even begun yet. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. Both of these players, very important for them. Got a lot to prove here today. Well, why don't you talk through a little bit when it comes a bit closer towards the stats. Hit me with some stats, Clarence.
Well, we have TLO sitting at around a 54% win ratio across his entire career in terms of this matchup, and that reflects his matches going into Heart of the Swarm as well. Around 19 wins and 18 losses against Terran specifically. ForGG, meanwhile, he's sitting at around like a 57% win ratio in this matchup.
Quite similar.
So yeah, quite similar. And then in terms of going up against Zerg, he's not doing too badly in Heart of the Swarm, but again, it's really that TVT that shines through for him at the moment.
That's so true. And these players have got so much experience playing against each other, whether it be playing from the ladder. Not recently, as we mentioned before, TLO vanished from the ladder. Likewise did ForGG, who, for a lot of people, may not know how he practices. He likewise has an alias and has been practicing very specifically with former OGS members. If you do, he was a former OGS player himself back in the day. If you followed StarCraft 2 at the beginning of time, you'd realize that. And also Gosu user and Daishi from Millennium. So he's got a lot of internal practice. Likewise has TLO. But we're already starting to see the two builds starting to shape up from these two players.
Here we have Command Center first for ForGG. It's not too bad on a map like this. Generally, if a Zerg, you know, if they're gonna open cheesy, then it's kind of a bit of a risk. And ForGG in turn is taking that risk of going for that Command Center. Has been spotted though here.
Yeah, I mean the Overlord. Luckily for TLO, in these positions, he was able to get a really fast scout. ForGG is very much so about 2 racks builds as well. He throws that in to compensate for his greed, which we're going to see in this game. And what we're seeing from him is going to be Command Center first, Barracks and Gas, and a 3rd Command Center really, really fast here, and then double Engineering Bay. That's the standard setup here. I'd be very surprised if he did something else, unless that training we talked about, maybe there's something that can come in from one of his teammates said, you know, why don't you try something a little bit risky? But as mentioned, that should be the standard setup coming from ForGG here.
I like what you're saying about that. I mean, people like Gosu User as a practice partner. Gosu User has flown off in terms of skill level as of late. So he is a really, really good potential practice partner here. But I also like what you're saying about the 3rd CC as well. It's something that is very common nowadays in this matchup. And we saw it throughout the entirety of the WCS round of 32, and it was so strong, so stable.
One thing to note that we actually don't see a scout from ForGG. This is a tendency of his, and it's a weakness in my honest opinion. He doesn't scout. And in this game, imagine if TLO would have been aggressive like we know TLO to have been. He's got no idea what's going on, and unfortunately, well, fortunately, sorry for him, it's worked out in his favor this time.
Yeah.
But it's something to keep in mind, especially going into the later stages, the later maps, the later series as well when it comes to his other opponents. It's something to think about.
Oh, you're right. We have our APM little count up here going around 200 each at this point. These players kind of rocketing on ahead. And TLO, he's grabbed himself his third base as well, just droning up pretty darn heavily. He wants to make sure he doesn't transfer over there too quickly with those drones, just in case these Hellions come along and try and poke it away.
Yeah, look at that. We actually don't see a third command center coming down here for ForGG, which is a little bit weird because the standard would be to take that. And I don't know if it's in compensation for him not scouting, saying, well, I'll throw down extra barracks to make sure I'm safe against anything if you were to do something.
Yeah.
Also, it could mean that he's looking to get towards a certain timing. If Stim and Combat Shields finishes, and he already started to produce Marines out early, he could surprise TLO if TLO doesn't expect it, doesn't get a scout in. Look at his overlords. How is he going to get a scout like that?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. We'll see if this is really going to pan out here. Those Hellions are on the way. TLO, meanwhile, is pretty darn good at getting that creep spread going, as well as defending this location, just narrowing it slightly with evolution chambers, as well as throwing down that spine crawler. So this should be able to zone out a little bit of harassment, but there can always be that potential for a suicide run here for ForGG.
Yeah, this is going to be very important for TLO to try and figure out what's going on here. So far, no idea. And as we see, double reactors nice and early, so a lot of Marines coming out nice and early here. TLO's build is going to be +1 carapace or +1 melee attack straight away here. We'll be going for Ling upgrades, and most likely just the super standard Zergling, Baneling, Mutalist composition. But still, I really think the importance is finding out what ForGG's doing.
Yeah, and with that, well, will he send in like Overlords or something to actually spot that? He'll see these Hellions very, very soon. They're going to poke around and show themselves, and that Overlord does now see them. So he did wait for a good portion of time here to transfer over to that base, setting his spine crawler up there as well. So TLO, very, very defensively minded and well done so far. Yeah,
he's set up for what he's expecting is about 6 Hellions on the map. You see that every single game, whether there be a third command center or not. It's going to be the follow-up that's going to sting him and hurt him a lot. And ForGG going to start to eliminate some creep here too. And as you can see, you can tweet into us here, hashtagging WCS, if you want a couple of comments. But the thing from ForGG that's missing is upgrades. But if he's able to do significant damage with these Marines, with Stim, with Hellions, then it doesn't matter about upgrades.
He's doing a great job actually clearing up some of that creep. One of the active creep tumors is still there, so he should be able to keep that active through the middle of the map for now if ForGG does not pick that off. But he's going to get 1 or 2 more. He has to be careful with these links as well. That's a lot of Hellions. He goes for a surround. He catches a few of them, but not enough in the end. Forces him on back. Good control by ForGG.
One thing we're missing here, if I'm not mistaken, is a Baneling Nest. Okay, there's the Baneling Nest. Okay. I was going to say, if that hadn't come down at that point, this becomes an almost impossible situation for TLO to hold on. The Marines are going to start moving out now with Stim nears completion. He's got no idea. I don't think nothing's been spotted yet. He's got a couple of Lings in the making here. If he starts to drone towards his third base, he could be in trouble. It's going to be very important here for TLO. He will potentially have 1-1 by the time this gets there.
Yeah, he just
but look how many Hellions.
That is a lot of Hellions. They're going to roast up those Zerglings pretty darn easily. And with Banelings, I mean, his layer only just morphed in, right? He's not going to have centrifugal hooks. Those Hellions are going to be very, very annoying.
Droning. He's got 3 drones in that production tab.
Well, the Hellion's going to try and thin out those Zergling numbers once again, but there's no Banelings to actually complement this. He needs those to deal with this composition. Those Zerglings are not going to be... That is so much firepower there,
TLO's been surprised by this, Galaris. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready at all. There's no Banelings morphing. There's 18 Zerglings coming, but what are they going to do? They can't get into this.
Oh god, all those drones trapped at the back as well. All the Zerglings are gone. All of these drones are gonna fall down so quickly. Even the Queen left at the back to try and fend for herself, but that hatchery now going very, very low indeed. 14 workers have been killed. What a great move by ForGG.
Third command center, double engineering bay, all the things missing just will come down now, and he's in good position. He's done massive amounts of damage here. TLO, despite having 1-1, how can he really research 2-2 when he doesn't have enough money? He's got to build units to defend this. This is a disastrous start here for the German.
The one thing going in TLO's favor is there's no medivacs with this. All of the stims have really weakened the Marines. They are super, super low right now. But still, they've done the damage that they needed to. It's 110 supplied to 60.
Yeah, look at the units Lust have there. Oh boy, that's not good. He's picking up a couple of these stragglers there. As you said, Stim had worn them down quite a lot. But medivacs are now down. Third command center is here as well. The pressure's going to continue. Remember that we had a spy complete, but does he have enough money to build useless? At the point, does he have anti-air defense? Can he stop medivacs from tearing him apart?
And even if he did have the ability to go into Mutalists, he needs to spend so much gas right now on Banelings to defend against this ground pressure that's coming along. Centrifugal hooks is now on the way, but TLO's supply blocked at this point. ForGG is playing out a very, very good game.
TLO pulls a counterattack, though. He knows he's in trouble, so he's going to try and pull something, a magic move. I don't know if this can work, because how is he going to defend that?
Oh, I do not know. Those Banelings trying to connect, but no, they get moved back from quite nicely there by ForGG. Meanwhile, all the SCVs going to war in the main base, but that Helion's going to help him out considerably here, whilst that pressure still hits at the front, trying to poke away at this natural. But speaking of poking, those spine crawlers not doing too badly here with good transfuses.
Yeah, remember the Lings are at 1-1 here. TLO is holding on. He's killed a few SCVs. I want to have a look at that in a couple of moments' time for sure, but as if he holds his front here, which he's doing, killing 15 SCVs in that counterattack, that's probably the move that could bring him back potentially in this game. He was down beat. There's no double engineering base still. It's 2-2 upgrades on the way for these Zerglings. That was the advantage. Well, I should say that was the weakness of ForGG's build. Didn't get engineering base early, decided to build a big army. Okay, there's engineering. They are there.
And his third CC was really late.
His third CC was late. TLO's got a third back down. He is behind when it comes to supply, SCVs and units, but with upgrades, he's going to win the majority of fights, and if he wins these fights, it's where efficiency comes in. He doesn't need the numbers.
And that counterattack is 41 workers right now to 43, so TLO has evened things up quite nicely. He sees this drop as well. If he can keep his eyes on the minimap and defend these locations, which he is now moving into position to do so, it's still anybody's game here at this point.
Yeah, I think he cancelled his Spire because another one's coming down. He definitely was building one before. Nice pickup there by ForGG. Going to put some pressure on before that Spire's down. There's nothing that can stop Medivacs at this point, so he definitely wants to try and keep TLO back while taking his third base, getting his upgrades down, adding on more production. This game is going to continue. For sure he's going to continue.
That 2-2, as you rightly point out before, is going to be a big hindrance here to ForGG. If he picks up and runs away once again, third bases are being established for each player here. And that command, I don't think it's being blocked by anything, so he could land it.
He's being blocked by himself. And it does get down there.
Go away. And there's armory going down as well here, so trying to gear things up for 2-2, adding on Widow Mines, trying to take control of engagements. Very, very important with those Widow Mines, but TLO's still doing really well for himself. 12 drones in the production right now.
He's going to have attack on this third base too, and he comes in, he's going to pick off a couple more SCVs here. Doesn't want to lose all these Lings though, definitely doesn't want to lose all of them for not trading too well.
3 Banelings trying to roll in at the back, but not really doing too much themselves. Widow Mines burrowed, but haven't done anything just yet, and those Banelings, if they're able to get a good connection here, I don't think they're going to be able to though, as ForGG's moving around quite nicely with his SCVs and just save them.
Yeah, I don't think that, actually on the third base, there seems to be a couple of Lings there. Do bring that down. I would say in terms of trading units there, that was not a successful attack for trading units, but delaying the third base probably puts that in TLO's favor a little bit. But because he traded units for time and economy, look who's got the supply lead at the moment.
Yeah, ForGG now moving out into the middle of the map here, even getting drilling claws. A very, very important upgrade for him to have at this point. But 10 Widow Mines out right now, and TLO is going to have to be so careful about engaging into this competition. ForGG is going to set up, just keep poking back and forwards and drawing them into him.
If he gets hit hard by these Widow Mines, he's in trouble. There is a little bit of a counter-attack again by TLO. Nice hit there on the Banelings, but it's all about this attack. If his Banelings die to these Widow Mines,
it's game over.
It's going to be difficult, for sure.
Well,
look at the zoning look at the zoning. He's got all these Widow Mines down on the low ground. He's got his Marines on the high. They don't actually connect to the Banelings, though.
Yeah, he's trying to bring those Banelings up along with all of this, and he does get 1 or 2 connections, but it's not good enough to actually clean up all of the Marines in the end. The Mutalisks are going to save the day, as a few of those Marines did off dying off in that mineral line, and the Zerglings and Banelings also on the way. So TLO still standing strong. More Zerglings in production.
And he still stands strong. If he gets an Overseer, which he has, he can clear up these Widow Mines as well. ForGG still not mining from that third base. It's quite important. A couple of Medivacs are going to go down as well, so it's not bad. It's so close, this game one, incredibly close.
Yeah, he was pushed away from that third base once again here, and the Zerglings trying to run on in, trying to get connections, but the Widow Mines in the end will clear that up in another connection. 110 supply right now to 87, and, well, he really needs rid of these Widow Mines. Otherwise, they're going to cause him so many problems.
Yeah, he's getting rid of them. That's actually a good cleanup there by TLO. That's very important, but more Marines are coming. They're only 1-1, remember. The Zerglings are 2-2 with Banelings as well, which will get him morphed in. Doesn't want to lose his third here. Those Marines with Stim, even a +1 attack, if they pick off that hatchery.
Yeah, he needs to keep this economy alive. It absolutely must stay there. He's coming in with a few Zerglings as well as the Mutalisks, but those Marines are more than enough to actually clean up this just to kick things off, especially with those Medivacs. Not really dying off. Those Banelings need to come along and help out considerably. Will force the pickup, so TLO continues to hold his base.
Bit of a big hit there on those Banelings. These Widow Mines are causing a lot of problems here for TLO. He needs to keep calm, keep going, keep building units, keep hitting his lava inject. Oh, big hit! They're going down as well.
There's so many
The
Widowmines.
third's about to be broken. Look at how many Overlords have been killed there too. He's supply capped.
This is getting worse and worse for TLO. He's slowly but surely being starved out of this third base. One or two of the Banelings do end up connecting with some of those Marines, but they still stay alive. A few of the Zerglings try to clear it up, but it's not going to be enough. GG for game number 1. ForGG will take the first map here on Whirlwind. And to come back to what you said at the beginning here, we felt that this could be a good map here for TLO, but it didn't really pan out for him too well.
He was caught off guard. Seriously, that entire game came down to TLO not seeing that.
Yeah.
He didn't have an Overlord in position. He did have an Overlord on the natural lead to spot the opening, but he was completely fooled. And the reason why he was completely fooled, ForGG has 2 builds when it comes to this matchup. 2 racks or command center first into 3 command centers.
Yes.
Every single game. For his last many tournaments, he does that. That was a surprise. TLO was surprised. He lost.
We were slightly surprised as well, not having that third CC go down as early as ForGG normally takes it. Well, that is a bit of a shocker, but going into game number 2 now, I mean, how does TLO approach this? On Belshir Vestige?
This is difficult.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's difficult is Belshir Vestige plays out very similar to how Ohana used to play. A very aggressive map for the Terran players. If they expand forwards, they're not letting you breathe. They're dropping your main, they're picking off your 4th, and if ForGG turns the aggression, which we all know he has, this could be very difficult for TLO, who would get knocked down to the losers match straight away here if he doesn't win this.
And then after that, we'll have MMA versus Straylock, as you can see on our screen right now. But this is a pretty impressive group. I mean, every single group in the round of 16 is insanely stacked. But here now, it's basically the last German hope here in this group, fighting off against the Terran Menace that have been doing so well as of late. And TLO is flying that Zerg flag high, man.
He's flying it high, especially today. He's going to keep that flag high, Claris. Otherwise, things are going to get difficult. You can see he's very focused. Not obviously happy about losing map number 1, but certainly ready for map number 2.
Yep, and we can jump right into Belshir Vestige now, guys, as we have our audience. Give it to TLO, guys. Will he win it? All right. So, without further ado, let's jump into game number 2 as we have Mr. ForGG versus TLO, and spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Zerg once again, representing Germany and the Swarm. Give it up for TLO. And spawning up to the top left as our blue Terran, currently 1 game up, looking to advance on to that final match. He goes by the name of ForGG.
All right, let's see what's going to happen in this game, Claris. They've got, as mentioned, a lot of history together, so I think TLO is going to feel a bit more confident going into this, not because of the map, but the mentality, saying, all right, there's a new build. Okay, you've thrown that one at me.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? Or are you going to try and 2 racks for an easy win? Or are you just going to go play that third command center style I'm used to? This is the map that TLO actually pushed ForGG down in the DreamHack groups to being eliminated.
Yep.
Who Nurcho came and cleared that up. On this map, what we actually saw when they played previously, just a couple of weeks ago, TLO hatchery first, ForGG command center first, into his 3 command centers. What we saw TLO go for was around the 4-minute 40 mark, double gases.
Yep.
And instead of looking to getting Zergling speed, teching up, getting double evolution chamber, a Ro16 and Baneling nest came down. And the game was over before the 10-minute mark. Are we going to see a repeat of that? Does TLO risk something like that here?
Scary stuff to deal with. And to that point, Apollo, in terms of as a Terran defending that kind of style, we see a lot of Terrans opening up with like Hellions and Widowmines and stuff like that. Do you think that a Terran, knowing that were coming, would like need a siege tank, for example, to clean that kind of thing up?
Yeah, so that's really funny you said, because right now in Korea, that discussion, that topic is out there.
Yeah.
Because people like Lenok, like Hyun, go for it and say, I don't care how many Widowmines you have. I'll either throw Overlords in there and they'll pick off the detonations and they'll soak the damage. I'll send in Lings 1 by 1 and then I'll come in with my force and you don't have anything. So the question is, do you rely on mines and hope that something like that doesn't happen? Or do you just go ahead and say, all right, I'll take the investment, the hit, I'll get a siege tank and I won't die. Yes, you won't die if you have a siege tank, but that's a lot of money away from engineering bays. That's away from the infrastructure you'll build and plan. So it's going to be very important, I feel, here for ForGG, his Hellions, to find out, is it coming or is it not? He doesn't want to overbuild Hellions. Widowmines start nice and early after 4 Hellions or so, but that's if he throws down a 3rd command center. He may not even
It might not do that.
and then we'd be talking for the first 5 minutes of this game. But, you know, we'll see how it comes down. But that's an early gas. That's an early gas from TLO, 420. 440 was when a double gas came down. If it's just a single gas, no need to panic.
Yep.
No need to panic if it's just one gas. Because getting a earlier single gas can be the same as getting later 2 gases because you start mining earlier and so on. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything yet. So.
And to a point you actually brought up before, Apollo, about ForGG and DreamHack against TLO. TLO was the one during that DreamHack run that begun the downfall of ForGG.
Yeah.
So TLO here needs to repeat that. He needs to bring this back. He needs to force ForGG away from the spot he currently finds himself in. As well, we got our answer. TLO going for that 3rd hatchery.
And it's a revenge match, just because of what you said. 4GG wasn't happy losing to TLO. He then lost to Nurture and then lost to Sase.
Yeah.
3 games in a row he lost like that and kicked him out of DreamHack Stockholm Open. He doesn't obviously want that to happen here again, but look what we see. Double barracks again. Unlike the previous game, Kalaris, there is no Overlord. Just slightly southwest. Little poke, a little blow, a puff of fresh air in the right direction.
Oh.
Like so.
That's on the way now, my friend. Well, yeah, he's going to be able to spot all of this, and that's a great scout there for TLO.
Yeah.
It now means that he knows he doesn't even necessarily have to scout anything else. He sees 2 extra barracks going down at that particular timing. He knows what his opponent is up to, pretty much.
I'm interested to, I mean, you can maybe think this through with me, is why would you put the barracks there? Is it a mind game? Are you saying, I don't really care if you see it? Do you not expect a Zerg player to have an Overlord there that will poke in every single time? I'm interested to know the theory behind why the barracks will be placed there. Why would you show what you were going to do, minutes before it actually happens? Yeah. Now TLO will absolutely get +1 carapace in a second. We'll take a second gas. We'll get an early Baneling Nest. And we'll focus very much on defense here. Yeah. Absolutely. And he won't die. He won't take damage like we saw previously. So I don't know why he'd show that so easily.
That's true. He could have put it in a different location in his main base. But ForGG, for now, it does have his starport on the way. So I think if he's going to try and make something like that work again, the Bane Nest's already started.
Yeah, before the layer.
Yeah.
It was, last time it was at 50% of the layer.
Yes.
Because he times up with centrifugal hooks that way. But this time, miles early.
And that's very, very helpful for the defense here of TLO if he's able to get going, though. But ForGG pokes forward, kills off active creep tumors once again, just kind of constricting TLO just a little bit in the middle of the map. And that's a good poke there from ForGG.
If ForGG overextends with his Hellions and loses the Hellions, then his build just doesn't work, by the way. So he doesn't want to lose these at all.
Yeah, he goes up to a lot of Hellions here, more so than you would normally see from just the standard Terran play, but it really complements exactly what he's going to do, especially if he's going to go for exactly the same move out with the Marines once again. He's waiting for that stim timing so that he can complement everything so nicely against just pure Zergling, but the Baneling Nest's already finished. Yeah,
the one thing though, with Hellions off creep, they beat Zerglings and Balings, don't they? Because they're faster, they can move around easier. That's what the creep denial is about right now. That's why he's in TLO's face. It's going to be very important. Ooh.
Hello.
Actually, just forget what I'm saying. This can be quite a big move here from TLO.
Will he get in?
Oh.
Hello, and he does not see that either. That is a lot of Banelings morphing in. That wall is going to disintegrate so quickly. The Hellions are actually moving back home.
They're just going to touch the Zelnogatar, I think.
Yeah.
They're only going to touch it and then keep the pressure up. He has absolutely no idea. This could be massive.
Oh, those Marines as well. Stim is not finished. He needs Stim to actually finish, to actually get out of that range. He's going to try and move towards them. Stim is about to just finish here. The Zergling's trying to wrap around. They get a little bit of a connection with some of those Marines. Kill off a lot of them as well. This is really annoying for ForGG. He wanted to couple those up with the Hellions, but he still has a lot of Hellions. Good God.
All right, I'm not too sure how to assess that. Was it worth chasing Marines instead of trying to go for the SCV line or not to break down the wall? But either way, he killed many a Marine.
Yeah.
And he's, TLO, he's going to move out and try the same again. But he has to defend this at the same time. I'm not too sure if the movement out here is the best one. And he's coming back. He's coming back. He knows it's not.
I don't think he can. I mean, that many Zerglings, how are they going to be able to deal with that many Hellions? So much damage from those Hellions.
Especially the surround.
He goes for the surround. Will the Zerglings be able to get it in time? They do get it, and they kill a lot of those Hellions as well, surrounding the remaining ones. Wow, what a cleanup there from TLO. Pushes across the map again. Is he going to go for another Baneling bust?
He could. Their minds? No, he's been building Hellions all game.
Exactly.
So yes, he actually can. But the question, again, where are the engineering bays? There aren't any. The 1-1 is done. The layer is done. He can go 2-2 really fast here. This is an incredible game number 2 for TLO. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's worth investing gas into Banelings to try and attack, right? Because if he invests all his gas into Banelings for an attack, how can he research 2-2 to keep up his advantage in this game? So I think he built Banelings and then cancelled them because he just realized that why would I do that when I can get 2-2? I take all my gases and hit the Spire hard and get a lot of Mutalisk out.
Yeah.
So this is really, really, really good for TLO.
Yeah, especially with all the early game aggressive focus now taken away for ForGG. And as you said, that came at the price of those 2 engineering bays. They're on the way now, so you need to catch up a little bit here. TLO in game number 2 is looking good, but ForGG has kept up in terms of the supply. It's 48 workers to 64, though still in favor of TLO. So he is looking good across these 3 bases.
If Coach Apollo came into this arena, he'd go up to TLO, take his headset off, and I'd probably get disqualified. But what I'd do is I'd be like, TLO, go for a 2-2 timing. Because you know that with this style that ForGG's playing, the engineering base is late. You hit with 2-2, centrifuge hooks and Mutalisk, he's dead.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do. The only thing you'd have to be careful about is, of course, Widow Mines. But we do see 4 Medivacs.
That's a lot of medevacs. That is a lot of medevacs. 2 of them are going to get spotted over on this right-hand side, but the 2 on the left are not going to be spotted for quite a while here. Doesn't have an Overlord in that path. TLO is going to try and take bases during all the while. This could do a lot of damage if it's not cleaned appropriately, but those Zerglings are already there. Pounce,
but
second
they're not
drop.
there.
They're definitely not there.
You don't
There's
expect
one spine.
this.
Uh-oh. Well, this could do a bit of damage indeed. Those Zerglings, very mobile though, can get back here eventually. Drones get pulled away. The Spinecrawler buys time. And I think he can clean this up if he's careful.
He doesn't want to lose the hatch though. He's getting targeted down, I think. Okay, he should be okay. And he's got the upgrade, so he should be fine here. Good position there. Oh, TLO needs to control him. He's not touching them.
Yeah, those Zerglings were just running up against a glass wall there. Really not doing too much. One of the Banelings comes in, though, pushes him away. ForGG forced to lift off. He kept his hatchery, but at the same time, the layer now under threat, potentially. Those drones trying to be chased as well. He might even try and go for the Spire. Oh, but the Mutalisks!
TLO is not dealing with this at all. Well, I mean, he's losing so much. He's not mining from the main, from the third. This is putting the supply lead almost in favor of ForGG with a great movement out here. But still, the fact still remains. If TLO hits with a 2-2 timing, then I think that he could pick up the win right there and then. But that was a lot of damage taken there by TLO, who has started to calm down and stabilize a little bit here.
You're right, though. 2-2 would be a fantastic time to go. Does he have the lava? He only has 3 out right now to kind of repopulate. He's got a lot of Zerglings. 64, and he could morph in a few Banelings, but not that many.
Does he morph? Does he use his gas here to morph Banelings, or does he not? He's got the Infestation Pit down. 5 Banelings are coming in. I think they may be defensive, though, so I'm not sure if he's going to go for it. With the Infestation Pit coming down, I think he just will want to go high, because you wouldn't really throw the Infestation Pit down and then not go high. Like, why would you put it down? So I think he's just trying to get towards Ultralisk as fast as possible, not going to try and bust his opponent, but in that case, he doesn't need to be out on the other side of the map with his Lings. He needs to be back at home. If he's not going to attack, then he needs to defend.
You're right, you're right. He has to hold onto these bases. He's got his 4th one on the way quickly here, but the 2nd drop is on the way into the 3rd base. Going to deny some mining time as well as plant a Widow Mine there. That's going to be even more annoying. And I think this is dropping the 4th base as well, trying to do some damage. The Spines are not up and running just yet. 1 Spore and 1 Queen trying to focus down a medevac will take down 1, but the Marines are doing a lot of damage in the process, killing off a few drones. Zergling's trying to come back, but the Marines, the Spinecrawlers are actually helping out the Marines in the end. They were bottling them up.
Yeah, I think TLO's not dealing with this too. He should never be on the other side of the map like that if he's not going to attack. Take the Xel'Naga towers, deny the 3rd. You've got an Overlord there. He's not taking it anytime soon. Maybe he was looking to catch his opponent, move down to take the 3rd or something, but absolutely should have been back defending there and took a little bit of damage again, but still remains with a 30 supply lead. There's the Hive on the way. Ultralisk Cavern will immediately come down when that's done. And
well, he's going to try and move in here. That's a few Widow Mines that have been burrowed there, though. They get some great connections on those Zerglings. ForGG picks up as well, trying to deny some of that friendly fire from those Widow Mines. And, well, he's going to push him back for now.
But he's keeping ForGG on 2 bases. Even though he's losing units, TLO's on 4 bases. Ultimately, TLO's plan is to keep his opponent away from a 3rd base, get to Ultralisk, finish the game off when Ultralisk come out. That's the plan. Because if he keeps his opponent away from a 3rd base, that's the gases he can't take. Upgrades 2-2 only just now starting. Marauders, not even in this game. They won't be in this game until that 3rd base is down. So if he can keep his opponent away from these essential structures, essential upgrades, and then hit with his timing, that's where he's going to be good.
And the fact that he's getting fungal growth for the Infestors to reveal Widow Mines is a fantastic tool here as well. Although, whoa, he needs to be careful. I think he should be able to just barely see that Widow Mine.
See it.
So he can clean that one up if he's fine. Oh, but at the same time, a not too bad a connection there. Will actually push forwards. There's a few Banelings in this composition. Those Marines trying to run back to the safety of a few more Widow Mines. They get one or two connections, but there's Bailey still carrying on forwards. He forces the pickup, forces the lift off of that third base as well, pushing on ForGG back.
So a lot of people will be like, why does ForGG like taking fights he can't win? Because he has to take a third. It's not a point of he doesn't want to take these fights. He doesn't want to take these fights, but he has to take a third. So TLO's keeping the pressure on, forcing the issue. There's +3 attack coming down. He will definitely try to get the Ultras Caravan as soon as he can now, and get +3 carapace as well. And he's just going to hit hard. But the longer he delays his third, which he's doing, as mentioned earlier, the key strengths are going to play in TLO's favor. You're
right, and the fact that ForGG is trying so avidly to deal with this third base threat and get it up and running, he's not being able to be aggressive behind all of this. And these Zerglings try and connect with some SCVs. I think maybe one or two of the SCVs died to Widow Mines there, so not the best there for ForGG, but he's going to go for the engagement once again. Bailey's trying to run on in. Good Fungal locks down a few of those Marines as well as the Bailey connection. And, oh dear me, these Marines are actually thinning out here. He catches a few more once again. The Bailings connect. There's very few Marines left here. And that means the Mutalisks are going to have a fun time.
I mean, TLO may not even need to go to his end game plan here, Ultralisks and so on, because he's just winning the game right now here, Kalaris. There's nothing left to defend this. He can just pick off the command center with his Mutalist. If that goes down, what is there left to defend? Why is he out there? He has no third to take anyway.
And even with that Vipers, Ultras, Chitinous playing 3-3 follow-up as well, the command center is going to fall. TLO takes down that third base. The Marines trying to hold on behind this, but ForGG, there you go, GG! TLO ties up the series. And what adaptation from game 1 to game 2.
Very happy with that. The crowd likewise incredibly happy with TLO's win. And the funny thing is that ForGG won TLO's map and TLO won ForGG's. And now we're going to the third game.
Yep, this is going to be down to it, guys. And again, this is so important for these two players. If TLO advances on, then we now have a good kind of metric as to how good his ZVT is going up against either Straylock or MMA. And then for ForGG, if he wins this, then he now goes into his best matchup. I mean, technically, he goes into his best matchup regardless, because it's TVT anyway. But still, having to take one more win is so important here for him.
Yeah, I agree. It's so important. And the thing is, if you look at the overall group, MMA Strelok, we talked about the advantage of TLO practicing one matchup. What are MMA and Strelok doing, right? They're sitting backstage, they'll be like piecing his game and saying, all right, there's a part missing here, here, and here. This is how I'm going to beat him. So that's the weakness of TLO, only practicing one matchup and having to play one matchup. On the other hand, though, ForGG, you know, we talked about how he's not his best matchup right now. Absolutely not. Terran versus Terran is. If he was able to win this game, he'd be like, so to advance through, I probably just have to win one of my next 2 TVTs. I could play. That's easy. So it's very important for ForGG to pick up this win. If not, he will have to potentially face TLO again in the future. Anything can happen, and it just throws his game off for sure.
And I kind of like the idea of MMA and Straylock in the back watching these games. Like, they're about to play against each other, but they're just, like, discussing with each other how TLO is going to play this out to see who the weakness is.
I mean, they can't really practice because they're sitting there by themselves. Like, what are you doing? No, I'm practicing. Wait, you?
Oh, God. All right, so spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, as are Blue Zerg. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Liquid TLO. And spawning up to the top right, bringing things back 1-1. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for ForGG.
All right, we like stats here at the WCS. We do. This deciding map, when it comes to Heart of the Swarm and all games played on this map, it's 60% favored for Terran.
Yes.
That's just something to keep there in the back of the mind. And the reason for that is, if you look at the structure of the map, there's pathways, right? There's many different pathways. All these pathways, if they are controlled by Widow Mines, how can you even possibly fight against a Terran army that's controlling the Widow Mine placement, moving back into them? So it's going to be very difficult if ForGG gets momentum. If he doesn't take a hit early, if he gains an advantage early and has momentum going into the mid to the later stages, This can be a rough ride for TLO.
Yeah, and I mean, normally on this map you see, like, if you go to Protoss versus Zerg, for example, Protoss have a bit of a hard time establishing a third base, but for Terrans, it's not as difficult. If they control the space in between the second and a third, say up to the top left of for ForGG, then he can, you know, create supply depot walls from that ramp, make it very, very easy to actually defend that location, as Mr. Funker, our observer, is outlining here. So it's very easy for them to actually get that up and running if they want to, with the space control, with the winter mines, like you said before.
I wonder how much ForGG's really put into thinking and his practice towards Zerg and TLO. I wonder if he just looked at this and be like, I'm going to prepare one build and one style that I don't think he could deal with. I'm going to go for this Hellion play. I'm going to add on my barracks earlier, unlike I usually do, and then I'm going to probably win. And then I'm going to do this and this against Strelok and this against MMA, and I'm going to advance.
It's going to be great.
But if he went through his training like that, then what happens if TLO stops his style? What does he do in Game 3?
Yeah.
Like, does he try it again? Does he do the same build, same style, same strat every single map? Does he change it up?
It's so important for us to actually check out if he's going to go throw down those extra second and third barracks at the time he is doing. And from that point on, as you rightly point out, we saw TLO adapt so well into game number 2. He was purely on point there, getting great surrounds, ForGG straying onto creep and making it a little bit easier for TLO to deal with, but he was also continuing that creep spread from time to time when they've been poking out to the watchtower and stuff like that. So TLO really nicely done in game number 2, and here on Neoplanet S, could easily do the same thing.
Yeah, no all-in coming now, because if we look at patterns, and that's something actually that any StarCraft viewer should look at, is patterns.
Yes.
What was previous, what is now? And with TLO, the very same time at 4 minutes 20 seconds took a single gas in game number 2. Did he all in? No, because he stayed on one gas and just got 1-1 upgrades as the gas piled in here. So he's going to be taking a third base, not all in coming at all. He's very confident with his playstyle. And if you think about it, who wouldn't be playing 200 games in a couple of days of the only matchup he's got to focus on?
Yeah, it's a great advantage for him. TLO looking really good in game number 2. How is he going to transition here into game number 3? He is the only German remaining. And these barracks, once again, have a good spot for TLO to scout them.
Yeah, he's going to see it really early. Again, so TLO knows exactly what he's going up against. Again. And 4GG, we talked a little bit about it. Does he change it up? Does he just have one style, one strategy to use against Zerg? Because he's only got one opponent.
Yeah.
And it's there again. TLO sees it. He's like, all right, fine, do it again. But remember though, in that previous game, that surround was everything on those Hellions.
It was.
If he doesn't get that same surround that game, what happens? Does TLO lose? If TLO doesn't get a surround in this game, does he...
Yeah, there's just like two... If it doesn't happen, that many Hellions being out and around, when you've only got Zerglings out there to deal with that's catastrophic there for TLO. So he needs to take the most opportunistic engagements. He needs to focus on a very, very small point and make sure his positioning is pivotal.
I think that TLO is already focusing on creep spread really, really closely. He's spreading it out. The second he has a creep room, he's going, because he knows that creep is everything. Because that's where Zerglings are going to be strong against Hellions and Marines together. If he can deny the Hellions stopping the creep tumors, and then can keep pushing his creep forward at a rapid rate, then I think that's going to be really, really good to play against this.
And now with him poking out with those two Hellions, he wanted to get confirmation that third was going down. He needed the timing of it, so then he can start saying, well, this is where I'm going to be attacking. This is where I'm going to focus attention, as long as I actually bring back some creep here. And if he can kill off the third base like he did in game number 1, then he's going to be flying. But that being nest on the way again.
TLO's a little bit nervous playing against this. Because he's not getting his upgrades straight away like previously. I think he's pooling gas. I think he's just going to... Well, he didn't research it straight away, so he's got gas saved up here. And with +1 carapace coming down, he definitely needs to get it down.
Do you think it's another adaptation tactic here, like having potentially more banelings or something like that to kind of deal with that kind of play?
You could do that, but if it doesn't work, then you don't have your 1-1 upgrade, you don't have that advantage which you carried for the rest. So he definitely needs to make sure that he actually only has one evolution chamber. You see that?
Yeah.
So with only one evolution chamber down, that is more banelings, like you say. Yeah. So he's definitely looking to adapt into this.
He's going to try. That that armor for those Zerglings and Banelings, well, especially Banelings, isn't really doing as much as it would want to here if ForGG is going to get aggressive again. But still, he's got 5 Marines in production at any given time. The stim is on the way. This is all lining up quite nicely. Centrifugal Hook's coming out quite quickly.
Really fast upgrade there. He got the layer really early before any upgrades, before anything, and that's allowed him to get this. And that's basically saying, right, you know, I could spread my creep well, I could look for the 6 around, or I'll just get Centrifugal Hooks and win anyway, because then you can't stop the Banelings coming at you. But it's still a while away. The Marines are coming. The upgrade's not ready.
It's been spotted here. TLO knows the exact positioning of his opponent's aggression. So many Hellions once again poking forward. It makes it hard for TLO to position himself initially, apart from the Spine Crawlers now finding themselves a good spot to defend.
Very smart 2 Spine Crawlers there. Look at that position the Hellions and Marines in. Very, very good.
And he's going to try and push in here. Those Banelings need to keep their lives, though, as that's going to be important to make sure that they stay alive so they get the connections they need.
30 seconds.
Spine Crawlers holding on. One Baneling waddling a little bit too forward. Decides to come home.
30 seconds more, and Centrifugal Hooks is done. ForGG's not going to go home and sit this one out, and he's going for it. That's a lot of Hellions. He needs Centrifugal Hooks. Creep has been stopped on this right-hand side. It's going to get denied even more. It's going to be close.
It's big. That Centrifugal Hook's about to finish up. Mutalisks are even on the way as well. The thing is, though, is TLO's done a pretty good job of defending this third location. He hasn't incurred any damage here whatsoever, aside from a few creep tumors being cleaned up in the middle of the map. Those Banelings now going to roll on forwards, though, but they need to be complemented by some support.
7 Mutalisks as well. That's great.
Yeah, this is
That's actually fantastic there for TLO. ForGG behind this, getting the Engineering Bay combat shields down as well. 3rd command center down. So, you know, in this position, if ForGG goes in, loses everything, how can he take a 3rd against? It's going to be very important to address the situation, not go in there and lose everything. If you can't go in, then just go home. And he can't afford that.
And if he doesn't have those upgrades, it's going to be a little bit difficult as well. The Zerglings and Banelings actually poking on foes, but he cannot engage. He needs to stay on creep. There's so many Hellions. They're going to kill off those Banelings so fast if they're not careful. In fact, they're actually pinned up in a bad position here. The Zerglings trying to swing on forwards, but no, get back as those Hellions push them away once again.
Yeah, good hits there with the Mutalisks. I think they had 2... couple of shots there, pushing a lot of these Hellions down into yellow. As you can see, quite a few red, orange even. Gonna come in here again. He's got to use these Mutalisks. He's actually realized that that's a little bit difficult with Zerglings, even with Baneling speed here. And the success was getting a couple of hits down. But look how many Hellions.
Still so many Hellions. And actually, this is a bit odd because he hasn't started Widowmine production like he has last time. It's 22 Hellions out right now. So this is really, really aggressive here by ForGG. If he doesn't do damage, though, it's going to be at the expense of his tech, in essence, later on, or composition at least. The Zerglings run on forwards here, along with the Banelings. They're trying to separate themselves a little bit. Will the Banelings get the connections? They get 1 or 2, but there's a lot of Marines as well. Good connections. The Zerglings try and run on forwards, but there's too many Marines for the Mutalisks to engage into.
Only 2 Banelings there. That's kind of important to keep the Baneling count up. +1 carapace is coming down as well. TLO feeling the pressure here for sure, as this unique style and strategy that ForGG's created specifically for TLO here. TLO's having to deal with it.
It's scary composition, man. That many Hellions, dealing it with Zergling and Baneling, and having those Marines back it up so the Mutalisks can't continue to poke on forwards, but at the same time, they get a few good shots off on those Hellions, trying to chase them back once again, but still the Banelings are not getting the connections they want.
Both players, great micro, absolutely. Like, ForGG going in there, getting out. Likewise, TLO not staying for too long. 30 more Lings are on the way here. +1 carapace is about to come down, +2 attack as well, so TLO maintains his upgrade lead. Toe-to-toe players just microing back and forth. Creep spread has been eliminated here, which puts the advantage slightly in ForGG's favor. But the Mutalisk count is starting to climb where he can actually combat the Marines out there without any upgrades. They have +1 attack as well.
And the thing is that TLO behind this is taking a few more bases. If ForGG kind of tunnel visions down the middle and continues all this, like, I have to do damage at this position, it could get a little bit dodgy in terms of that production. And, well, he actually denies the 3rd base. Good moves here by TLO. And he brings ForGG entirely back.
If he gets that, Kalaris, he's not going to. Okay, the SCV should be able to get there in time.
And Zergling's going to engage as well. They end up dying off, but they get a little bit in the end. Those Marines too much for those Mutalisks to deal with. But
go in the main.
Wait a minute. This is getting a little bit out of hand here. Those Marines are all way out of position. They could sit atop those production facilities. There's no missile turrets as well. TLO finds an opening and he takes it.
And he's got the supply lead right now. Not a very big one, but Baneling's coming to the natural here, and they're going to get into the SCV line. And he picks up quite a few of them there with Mutalisks in the main.
Oh my god.
Baneling's on the natural.
Oh my god, he's killed 34 workers. There are only 18 left to the 71 7 workers for TLO. He kills off more workers. Again, there's only 11 left to 69. ForGG, he has to do damage right now. If he doesn't, he is done.
He has to win the game with this push. He's got nothing. 11 SCVs won't do anything against TLO. TLO's got spines, Bailey's morphing. All he has to do is clean up this army, and then he'll win the first game here today.
Army supply 74 to 61. TLO now trying to push in to defend all of this. That's a lot of Marines, a lot of firepower here. Will he be able to hold on? The Mutalist flying from the back. The Marines get good connections with it, but Banelings clean up a lot here as well. There's not that many Marines left here. 54 supply to 109. He forces him away. The Mutalists are getting a little bit shredded, but there's just not enough Marines left.
20 more Zerglings on the way here. 1-1 upgrades for them. 3, 6, 9. Banelings get morphed with Baneling speed.
Oh god.
There's nothing. There's no mines. There's no tanks. There's no Hellions anymore. It's pure Marines against Banelings. I don't think so. Look at TLO.
Oh my god.
TLO's got like 400 APM. He knows he's about to win this game.
GG! Ladies and gentlemen, TLO takes the first series and advances on to the next round. And that gives us a really good indication now as to how well our Zerg is going to match up against these Terrans.
The German crowd here chanting for TLO is very, very happy with that win. And what we saw was game 1. TLO surprised. He had no idea what was coming by ForGG.
No.
Game 2 dealt with it just about. Game 3 found the right thing to do, the right time. The counterattacks in game 2 and game 3 were perfect.
Yeah.
And he was able to beat ForGG there. Very big win for TLO.
You're right. I can't emphasize enough. We can't emphasize enough the adaptation skills here by this man, Mr. TLO, doing so well there. And now he's going to go up against either Straylock or MMA. Very, very impressive performance there.
1 game from being in the quarterfinals of the WCS.
Yeah.
That's big.
That is big. All right, so I believe we can send it over to a post-match interview with the winner himself, Mr. TLO.
Apparently I'm on. I couldn't quite hear, so apologies for that. Thank you very much to Kalaris and Apollo. With the winner of the first game, it is, of course, TLO. And he had... I did that especially for you because I know that when you're sat there and you've got the ear defender, you can't hear a thing, and only your music. So I did that for you because they've been chanting that the entire 3 games. What do you got to say to them?
Thank you so much, guys. I'm gonna not disappoint you.
Okay, talk us through the maps. The first game, you know, I don't know whether it was you settling, lack of focus, change of Spotify music. I don't know what was going on there for the first game. Talk us through it.
No, actually, ForGG was being extremely intelligent in his choice of build and metagame he was playing on me. He does a very similar push to that with 2 medivacs, which hits like half a minute later. So I was preparing for that push to hit, and then it hit like half a minute earlier because he didn't have medivacs. And second and third game I knew was coming. It was a 2-player map, second and third map, so I could scout with my overlord when his barracks are going down. And then when I knew he was going for that build, I basically knew I'm going to win the game if I don't mess up. So I was very happy about that.
Okay, and in terms of training coming into this Group A game, you had 3 Terrans to play. You used to be a Terran back in the day yourself. Was that how much easier did it make it to prepare for this group?
Oh, it was fantastic. I only played CVTs in the past 4 days, like not a single other game. I don't even know how to play CVP or CVC anymore properly. So that's...
You have to relearn.
Yeah, I hope I get a Terran play in the quarterfinals if I make it through there.
In terms of your second game now, you're through to the winners match. Got any preferences for either one?
I really don't care. Probably MMA because Strelok plays mech and I don't have as much experience, but I don't care. I'm just going to play as good as I can, and then hopefully that's going to be enough.
All right, little insight. You're the last German left in the round of 16. We had the German EPS finals at the weekend. Hasselhoff and Zocker were in action. Where is the German scene right now in StarCraft?
I think it's pretty good. Actually, my favorite German player is Kruss at the moment. He has a really good mindset and is training a lot. So I hope
Straining or training?
Training. He's training a lot, Kruss. So I think we're going to see a lot from him in the future. He's like, in my eyes, like the upcoming star, other than Hero Marine, obviously, because he's still 15 and he's already beating me like all the time. So Hero Marine is probably like really big chance for Germany as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, TLO. Ladies and gentlemen, TLO, victor of the first game. So, to break down the game for you, we have the one and only man that can break down such a game. It is, of course, Mr. D. Apollo.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. And what we're going to be doing over here with this wonderful screen, some of you may remember a couple of MLGs in the past. I'm pretty good at telling the weather and so on. And that's what we're going to be doing here once again. So this is kind of the deciding point. This is where TLO made a single decision which gave him the win against ForGG, which enabled him to move on to the winners match here today. And as we can see on screen, ForGG's army's on this side. He has no idea where TLO is at this point. TLO decided, well, what happens if I keep defending? I may eventually fall to this. But if I decide to go the other way and go for a counterattack with my Mulus, with my Zerglings and Banelings, then he was able to pull off this great maneuver. As we see right now, this is very difficult. Great micro. This is an incredible, intense micro battle by both players. Stimming, getting off creep, attacking back in again. And like for TLO, he gets the speed advantage on creep, fight, and then so we can move forward. And if we continue forward with this game just a little bit, there's the third base coming down. And then all of a sudden, this decision comes in. He's like, This is when he's going to be taking the third base. This is how I'm going to stop it and win the game. And he decides to counterattack. ForGG's army, the other side of the map. He's still being aggressive, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I got to get back, I got to get back. So he comes to defend. And at this point, he's out of position. He's slow. He's too far away. And if he loses this third base, he won't have the income to keep supporting what he's planning to do for the rest of the game here. And then what happens is, as the Hellions and Marines clean up this attack, TLO's like, well, I guess I'll go to the main, because there's nothing there, obviously, because he's been attacking. So he goes into the main, and then all of a sudden the army's on the third base, has to come all the way back in. There's no turrets, SCVs go down, and at the same time, another move comes in, and this is the SCV count that dropped down to 11. All these SCVs down the natural, look at the count just rising. This was probably at 0, or at least maybe 1 from the scouting SCV. Now it's at 34. He's killed in the main, he's killed in the natural, and at this point, ForGG says, ah, rats. I've lost my SCV line. I have no money left. I have a single army, and I'm going to try and win the game. And obviously, TLO is not going to let that happen. So TLO starts morphing Banelings at home. In production is morphing Banelings because there's no mines, there's no tanks, there's no development of the infrastructure, unfortunately, for ForGG because of that attack. And then TLO, a simple defense, is able to get the Banelings connections onto the Marines, deal with the Hellions, and was able to pick up game number 3. And that single set of decisions from TLO was the key in his victory against ForGG on that last map to bring back the 2-1 victory. So that's it for this analysis over here. And I'm going to pass it over to Red Eye if he's ready, as that's pretty much all I've got to say. So Red Eye, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Apollo, and very good analysis indeed. We'll have more from him throughout the show this evening. We've got 4 more games to come. But first of all, let's check in on social media. Mr. Hubner, what's been going on Reddit and on Twitter as well? It's been going crazy this evening, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I mean, the APM cameras have been exploding on Twitter and on Reddit as well.
I hope they have been exploding because we need them for game 2.
Yes. Well, there were people actually going on about how their heartbeat was as fast as TLO's APM in those fights. So that was pretty awesome.
Okay. Anything else in terms of any feedback or anything like that?
Well, we've had some feedback. Everything that was an issue for a short moment, I think we fixed pretty soon. If you have any other feedback, just tweet at me. We'll try to deal with it as soon as we can, obviously, but I don't think there should be anything going on anymore, right?
Okay. And in terms of TLO, are people surprised? Are they appreciative of what he played? Are they disappointed for 4G? How's the community feel about the game?
It seems like everyone's been cheering for TLO. Not only the audience here, the people at home, everyone's just been cheering for him. So.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. We'll continue to check in with the Hubner throughout the show. Thank you very much for the social media update. And we'll continue with the show very shortly. But first, we're going to take a very quick break. But don't go too far away. We've got MMA versus Strelok. It's coming next.